In the 600th year after Zarathustra, the light of the voice, a divine connection to the Creator, was lost to humanity. For centuries, the world lived in spiritual darkness, disconnected from the purity and wisdom once revealed. But in Romsat, among the Ahins, a sacred people, this voice was restored, and through them came the tribe of Lojon. From this lineage arose Brahma, a man of extraordinary wisdom and faith, destined to recover the lost truths of Zarathustra and fulfill a divine prophecy. It was foretold that through him the Creator's teachings would be revived and the era of the Ahin race in India would end. As Brahma grew, he was unlike other men, for the voice of the Creator spoke to him, guiding his heart and filling his soul with light. The Creator commanded Brahma to leave his home and travel to a distant land where he would find a wife and fulfill his divine mission. Obeying this command, Brahma journeyed far, eventually reaching Talavitcha, a land ruled by King Tiama, who wielded the Zarathustrian religion as a tool of power and oppression. Under Tiama's rule, faith was enforced by the sword, and dissent was met with chains and death. Brahma, resolute in his purpose, entered the city of Talavitcha to pay the stranger's tax required for entry. At the city gates, Brahma met Yu Tiv, a young woman of gentle spirit, who offered to guide him to the high priest's house. As they walked, Yu Tiv paused and exclaimed that she saw a star above Brahma's head. Brahma explained that the pure in heart often see such signs, recognizing their own divine essence reflected in others. Yu Tiv insisted that she truly saw the star, and this moment strengthened Brahma's heart, confirming his divine mission. During their journey, Brahma shared his story with Yu Tiv. He had once aspired to the priesthood, seeking to bring righteousness to a corrupt and oppressive world. However, witnessing the cruelty and hypocrisy of the Haoke, the institutional church, he abandoned his studies to live humbly as a laborer, dedicating himself to prayer, fasting, and spiritual purification. Through this life of simplicity and devotion, Brahma grew into a man of great physical and spiritual strength. Then one day the Creator spoke to him, commanding him to take a wife and raise 7 sons who would carry forward the divine light and bring liberty to the world. Yu Tiv, in turn, revealed her own story. She was a weaver of mats, the daughter of a humble man who lived in a nearby thatched home. Her mother, an Ahin, had passed away at Yu Tiv's birth. She had spent her life enduring the hardships of the world and the unkindness of men, but her soul remained attuned to the Creator. Together, Brahma and Yu Tiv found a shared longing for a world free from suffering, devoted to divine truths. After their meeting, Brahma accompanied Yu Tiv to her father's home. Her father welcomed Brahma, offering him shelter for as long as he wished. Although Brahma spoke little, his presence was marked by a profound spiritual strength. That evening, Yu Tiv prepared food for him, and they prayed together according to the laws of the land before retiring to rest. The following morning, Brahma and Yu Tiv rose early and greeted each other warmly. Their connection deepened as they spent their days together, drawn closer by mutual respect and shared purpose. Over time, their companionship grew into affection. On the second day they held hands, on the third they walked arm in arm, and on the fourth they kissed. Their bond grew so strong that they could no longer bear to be apart, even at night. They spent hours in prayer and conversation, united in their devotion to the Creator. Eventually, Brahma and Yu Tiv married, and their life together blossomed. They remained steadfast in their faith, and over time they had 7 sons, fulfilling the prophecy given to Brahma by the Creator. However, after their union, Brahma no longer heard the Creator's voice. For 18 long years, he lived a life of faith and humility, continuing his labor as a woodcutter and raising his family. Despite the silence, Brahma never wavered in his devotion, trusting that the Creator would speak again in due time. One morning, as the family sat eating breakfast at sunrise, a brilliant light filled their humble home. The light passed over Brahma's head and entered his soul, and he became one with the Creator once more. The Creator spoke through Brahma, condemning the corruption of his teachings. He lamented how kings and priests had twisted his commandments, using them to justify war, oppression, and greed. Instead of peace and love, they had built kingdoms of bloodshed and death in his name. The Creator declared that those who enslaved others, taxed them unjustly, or commanded them to kill were enemies of his light. He vowed to raise a new people, free from these falsehoods, devoted to truth and spirit. Brahma's son, Vede, blessed with learning and memory, recorded these revelations on prepared cloth, marking the beginning of a new spiritual movement. These followers, later called Vedans or Brahmins, would embody faith in its purest form. In the days that followed, the Creator continued to speak through Brahma, imparting wisdom at sunrise. He taught that all men see the world through their own perspective, shaped by their unique experiences. No one has the right to enforce their beliefs on others, for true wisdom begins with the recognition of this diversity. The Creator emphasized that liberty is the cornerstone of spiritual enlightenment and that no man's judgment should bind another's. The Creator condemned those who claimed divine authority to enforce false doctrines, declaring them enemies of truth. He revealed the existence of three spiritual realms: the earth where men dwell in the flesh, the intermediate spirit world where souls sojourn after death, and nirvana, an eternal paradise for the pure and wise. Through Brahma, the Creator promised to guide humanity toward this ultimate truth, raising future generations capable of perceiving and embracing his light. The Creator spoke of two types of great men: the faithful, who hear his voice and walk in his light, and the unbeliever, who relies on reason and courage to challenge falsehoods. Both, the Creator taught, are vital to the world's progress. The faithful call others to higher understanding, while the unbeliever clears away corruption and falsehoods. Together, they labor for humanity's enlightenment, one pulling from above and the other pushing from below. Through these teachings, Brahma and his family became the foundation of a spiritual awakening. The Creator's words, as recorded by Vede, spread among the people, inspiring a new movement devoted to liberty, truth, and the Creator's light. This marked the dawn of a new era, one in which faith and understanding worked hand in hand to uplift humanity and restore the purity of divine worship. At the dawn of each day for 40 days, the Creator spoke through Brahma, and Vede carefully wrote down the divine words. Each morning brought new revelations, until, at last, the Veda was completed, a sacred scripture to illuminate the path of righteousness and unity for generations to come. God then commanded Brahma to go forth and preach the gospel to all who would listen, proclaiming liberty and devotion to the Creator. He instructed Brahma to take his wife, Yu Tiv, and their sons, spreading the divine message as a family. God assured them of his presence and guidance until the very end. Brahma's journey began with steadfast determination. By day he preached the Creator's teachings, emphasizing compassion, faith, and liberty. By night he demonstrated the presence of spirits to strengthen the faith of his followers. At dawn, in the light of early morning, he shared deeper sacred teachings with his chosen disciples. His wife, Yu Tiv, inspired women by sharing her own spiritual journey and experiences as the mother of Brahma's sons. His children too became teachers and guides, spreading the wisdom of the Veda. As Brahma approached cities, he wisely set up camp outside their walls, evading restrictions placed by the ruling kings. Multitudes came to hear his sermons, and many, captivated by his message, chose to abandon their lives in the city to join his growing community. Over time, the followers of Brahma swelled into an immense host, numbering in the thousands. Among the followers were some wealthy men and women who cast their riches at Brahma's feet, declaring, "Take this trash and give us everlasting life instead." Yet, the learned, the priests, kings, magicians, and consultants of oracles stayed away, unwilling to relinquish their own influence and traditions. Following the Creator's instructions, Brahma organized his followers into families and communities of tens, twenties, hundreds, and thousands, appointing leaders for each group. They established settlements in unclaimed lands, places avoided by the king's people, and there they lived in harmony. These Vedans, as they were called, cultivated the land, lived on fruits, roots, and wheat bread, and abstained from eating fish, flesh or any creature that had drawn the breath of life. God, foreseeing potential corruption of the Brahmin religion, instructed Brahma to preserve the Veda through oral tradition. Every Rabbah or priest was required to memorize the entire scripture. Thus, even if the written texts were destroyed by war or time, the sacred words would endure. Brahma's people, thriving in the lands of Rome, extended their settlements across 7 cities and 30 villages. The community lived in unity, bound by their devotion to the Creator. Brahma, Yu Tiv, and their youngest son, Hog, continued to journey, guided by angels. Carrying a single copy of the Veda, they preached in new lands, including the kingdoms of Seth, Hattia, Hospo, Vaitayo, Aramya, and Dakyama. In these regions, they found oppressed people eager to follow them, and their numbers grew with every step of their travels. In Hattia, under the shadow of the tyrant Ajaven, who had built a temple of skulls and kept dens of lions for executing his slaves, Brahma's teachings brought hope. He gained 3,000 followers in defiance of the king's oppression. When his followers numbered 7,000, the angel of God directed him to the fertile plains of Kapentamaiti. There, Brahma established his people, creating new villages and appointing priests to guide each community. Kapentamaiti became renowned across the world for its harmony and devotion. As the years passed, Brahma and Yu Tiv aged. Despite their tireless efforts, their physical strength began to wane. Recognizing Yu Tiv's failing health, the angel of God urged Brahma to return her to Harayo, their homeland in the mountains of Rome. Though reluctant to leave their mission unfinished, Brahma obeyed. He, Yu Tiv, and their son Hog undertook the arduous journey back. Yu Tiv's feet bound only in scraps of cloth, for her shoes had long since worn out. The journey tested them greatly. Yu Tiv, frail and weary, persevered with unshakable determination. And Brahma, though weak himself, supported her every step. After 7 long days, they reached Harayo, where they were welcomed by their sons and a multitude of disciples. However, the strain proved too much for Yu Tiv's failing body. Resting on straw prepared by her children, she spoke her final words, offering her blessings to the Creator for the gift of life, to Brahma for his steadfast love and guidance, and to her sons for their devotion. With these parting words, Yu Tiv passed peacefully. Brahma, overcome with sorrow and divine connection, addressed his people one last time. He implored them to remain steadfast in their faith in the Creator, the Eternal All-One, and to reject all gods, lords, or saviors but him. He urged them to practice good works, to serve others selflessly, and to live in harmony with the Creator's will. Then, as his spirit reached for the ascending light, Brahma's body succumbed. He too passed into eternity. Their deaths shook the hearts of all who followed them. The earth seemed to grieve alongside the people of Harayo. The forests of Rome shuddered, and a great wail rose from Brahma's sons and disciples. Though no one needed to speak it, all knew that the mighty Brahma was gone. The people buried Brahma and Yu Tiv together in the sacred forest, marking their grave with a simple inscription, Tomb of Brahma and Yu Tiv, God and Goddess. Their legacy, rooted in the wisdom of the Veda and the enduring light of their devotion, continued to inspire and guide their followers for generations to come.